2005.
Yep.
Down back with your old
Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech, where you played college ball. Then in 2006, coached over in NFL Europe with Frankfurt Galaxy.
Correct.
Won the World Bowl there.
Yeah.
And then in 2007, got his first start up here in the CFL with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That year, I remember that year, it was my first year coaching here, and you guys probably had, I think, the best secondary in the league that year.
Yeah.
I think holding all teams to like 254 yards, I think.
We were number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Way to be monster.
Yeah, we were number 2. Yeah.
All right. But, and now in 2007, so it was with Winnipeg, 2007. 2008 to 2010 was a DB coach with the Calgary Stampeders. And as everyone well knows, they won a Grey Cup there and held Anthony Calvillo to 0 touchdowns in that final game, right? Correct. And in the Grey Cup. So,
just to back you up a little bit, versus Kerry Joseph in the Grey Cup, we held him to 180 yards passing. So it's a reoccurring thing. Don't worry about it.
Let's throw that one in. And now his first year with Hamilton Tiger Cats as defensive coordinator and DB coach still. I saw Corey talk about 3 weeks ago at another clinic, and I tell you, I came back here using his stuff right away, right when we started spring camp. The knowledge he has of the secondary is unbelievable. And Corey, Chamblin, take it over, brother.
All right, here I am. Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to always share the things that I've learned throughout my playing career. And unless you're talking to the Peyton Mannings or the Dave Dickinsons or the Kahari Jones, not all of us had that type playing career. So seriously, a lot of times it was just, down the NFL trying to make it, holding on. But seriously, like Kahari said, you learn from so many different guys. Okay. And at that time, you just want to play. And then as your career goes along, you figure out that, hey, I learned from some choice guys. Some of the my defensive coordinator at Tennessee Tech was Mike Smith, who's now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. But some of the secondary coaches that I had was Mike Tomlin and Raheem Morris, were both of my secondary coaches in Tampa Bay, and they're both head coaches of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other guy is Perry Fuel. He was my DB coach down in Jacksonville for 2 years. And he's DB coach now. He's the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Okay, and those are some teams that they do some things on defense very well. And I was very fortunate to learn from them. Okay, and coming here, I started out with Greg Marshall, the first Greg Marshall, not the one that's here, but the other Greg Marshall. All right, so the Greg Marshall here, and he did teach me the fundamentals of the game, and I appreciated him, and that caught me up to speed. Chris Jones, I moved with him to Calgary. After that, he was a GA at Tennessee Tech when I was there, so we had a relationship from there, and we both shared the same thing, which was a aggressive style nature. So I've been very fortunate to have some good secondaries in the CFL league, and just to learn some good techniques. And just to let you guys know, in Winnipeg, the first lesson that I learned, Kahari probably doesn't remember, he was walking through the hall, and I said, tell me a secret. He was like, you can read the weak side halfback, and it tells you whether it's man or zone. So he doesn't remember that, but I remember it. I remember that, and that carried me. So now I have some other things from Kahari that I know to go ahead with. All right, so when I write the book, he'll be in there. All right, so some of the it's all because of Kahari Jones. All right, here we go. So when we talk about, excuse me, here trying to get out the way. Here we go. So we want to talk about Coach's Creed here, and I'll just stand out of the way here. The first thing for me, when I talk about coaching, secondary coach, no matter offense, defense, special teams, doesn't matter what it is. You need to be energetic, okay? Because the players, they feed off of you every day, all right? And some coaches, you may coach in an old school monotone type way. Well, that's what you're going to get. I'm sorry. If you coach that way, that's the way your players are. All right, this game is about energy. You have good energy, bad energy, positive energy, negative energy. If you can learn to put that energy together and then create something and have it going in the same direction, that's when you can do things that you need to do. The next thing is coach them up, not down. Okay, being a college coach, or being, you have those old school guys that they say, hey, I really like that coach. He was aggressive and the things that he did, and he's going to MF you and all that. That's okay if you drop an F-bomb every now and again. But the biggest thing that I think is when you're dealing with youth or young adults, you need to coach them up and not down. Okay, we're in this business, we're in this game to make sure that we're developing young men to become better players and men. And the way you do that is not tearing them down. There's a chance in training camp now. You tear them down mentally so you can build them back up, but never berate a player or never come at him in a negative type manner that player is not willing to play for you. Because if you can get a player on your side, then forget all the scheme. They're just going to want to play for you every single down. Okay, and that's the biggest thing. When Kari talked about now the chess match, they are human beings. Hey, turn that light on. If you fire them up, they're ready to go for you. The next thing is don't ask players to be coaches. All right, and what I mean by that, and that's something we're living by this year, don't ask players to be coaches. Okay, they pay me to think. They pay players to play. Okay, same thing if you're level. If you can come up with all these creative, elaborative schemes, then draw them up and sell them to someone. Okay, but what you want to do is you want to play fast, you want to make it simple, and you want to have the details of the game, and those are the things that help you get to win championships. Keep it simple. All right, when I talk about keep it simple for yourself so you understand what you're doing. Not what John Gruden did, Kahari Jones, or John Huffnagel did, but what is it that you can understand that you're doing is number one. Number two, when I mean keep it simple, and I know it's just not, and Kahari talked about the quarterback, keeping it simple for him. You want to keep it simple for him because if you're a college student or you're a high school student, you have a lot of other things on your mind besides learning the plays, okay? And especially in the pros, to get 4.5 hours. Guys don't have the time. They have families when they go home, and they have video games nowadays. So if you think they're going to study a playbook, you out your mind. So don't cuss them when it comes to practice. Why don't you know? Because you have too much in. That's what the problem is. You have too much in. But when I talk about keeping it simple, okay, we're going to keep it simple, but we're not going to keep it vanilla. Do you understand the difference in that? Keep it simple, but you don't have to keep it vanilla. You can move around and do those things, all that confusion and things that make, what are they doing? What are they doing? They had the indicator motion. Okay, well, when I'm breaking down film, I know, oh, that's just indicator motion. They're just trying to see whether we're man or zone. Okay, but we're still going to do the same thing, so be creative, and we're still playing man to man. We might not have to press the guy that's coming down. Let him bump all the way down the line. Then what does it look like? Zone. All right, so you're still keeping it simple. You just call it saying, hey, one time we'll press, one time let's just call it a trio and let it go all the way down through all three guys. Okay, so that's just keeping it simple. You will see that in camp, by the way. All right, all right, here we go. Yeah, you will see that. All right, know your personnel. The biggest thing is we can talk scheme. Guys you get all jacked up when you see this scheme. Oh, I learned this from that coach. I learned this from that coach. Know your personnel. You may not have the personnel to do that. If you spend more time studying your personnel and knowing what the guys can do that you have, I think you'll be better off. If you're a quarterback, if he's a one-read guy, a two-read guy, your defensive backs, if he's not a press man guy, whatever it is, you have to find what you have, and you have to spend time in knowing your personnel, and then you have to find a team or a scheme that matches what your personnel is. All right, now for me, the biggest thing is called EDDs, everyday drills. Okay, same thing going back to being energetic. And this is not just, I'm speaking of defensive backs, but if you're a quarterback in here, O-line, whatever it is, you have to have a set of everyday drills. The things that show up in the game day in and day out. Because if a team is fundamentally sound, if a player is fundamentally sound, that's what helps execute the scheme. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't have all those things, you could draw up cover 3, cover 4, all you want, and want to seem like the smartest guy. Then I'm telling you, it's not going to work until you get your player to know what he's doing. And once it becomes second nature and a habit, because I think it's either 21 or 27 days to create or break a habit, something like that. You guys just don't even want to hear it no more, huh? Just leave. No, that's fine. I'm just kidding. Donovan already told me. That's fine. All right, here we go. But I'm just joking. You can go too. No, Coach Blue. Hey. But so now that's just those. He's the last one that can leave. All right. He's the last one. No one else can leave. Here we go. So like threw me off now. But no, your everyday drills. The thing you want to be able to do is you want to come up with those drills, and you want the same thing about keeping it simple but not being vanilla. The same thing in your drills. That's the most important thing. Is you have to be able to change up the drills, doing the same thing a different way, so that the players, they actually want to feel it. Because I'm telling you, this is where the success that I've had and on the teams that I've had, we've been sticklers for the fundamentals on everyday drills. All right, so I'll get drill specific with the DBs. And before I do that, I'll tell you this. Bob Wiley, he's with the Oakland Raiders now. He was with me. He was in Saskatchewan, and then he was with me in Winnipeg. And he used to get mad because I said, when I looked at the O-line, and he was one of the best O-line coaches I'd been around, player or coach, I said, that's nothing more than the defensive backs position. He's like, oh, you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that. I was like, yeah, it's the same guy. They're going in the same position, just like a defensive back. So I looked at the O-line to get some of the drills that I do for the defensive backs. The same thing, we were teaching D-line the other day. I was sitting there with the D-line coach, and he's talking about dipping the shoulder, XYZ, and picking up a set of keys. I said, well, that's no different than a gunner on punt, splitting the double team. He needs to get skinny and pick it up. So all it is those drills can move from one set to other. So if you say, oh, I don't want to see that, that's just the DB drills. Oh, that's just the O-line drills. Then you're missing out on something to help your players see it a different way. All right, so when we look at the everyday drills, we have angle push kick. I'll talk about that one. I'll talk about angle release drill. I'll talk about down the line, which is DTLs, and also down the line comeback. All right, coverage techniques. We'll talk about press technique, off man technique, hang technique, which is hang or hold, depending on what school you're from in cover 3, and cut technique. We'll get to those. I'm going to tell you which one I prefer, and it's man to man. It's the truth. Can everyone see? All right, so I'll stand here from not in anyone's way. So same deal here. What we want to be able to do, and this is from our OTA camp here the other day, okay? What I want to be able to do is make sure these guys are getting their hips loose, making sure that, they have body control. Okay, so we have the twist and turning deal. I'm twisting and turning. Now, just check out 27 and check out 18. The one thing that I get on guys about is because you want to be efficient in your drills, because no matter what we draw up, if these guys are not ready to play from here, then it won't happen. Okay, what I teach these guys is we want to flip, get right down the line. Now, he's been working out with me, so he knows how to flip, get down the line. He has not, so he's a little slow. So as Kahari talked about the quarterbacks, you don't want to produce bad habits. This is a very bad habit, because this right here is him coming out of what? Coming out of his break. So if he's coming out of his break, the thing I want to look at also is, can he get down the line, and where's his eyes? Okay, when he flips and turns, his eyes go to the ground. So there's nothing on the ground. So when we flip and turn, the thing I want to do is flip, turn with my eyes up, find the point that's up off the ground to where my eyes will go to right now, because that's going to help us see the ball quicker to end up getting interceptions. No different than a wide receiver. When he comes out his break, he has to have his eyes up to see the ball and hands away from his body. So a couple more here. Here's 43. Good hip. Now watch his head. Watch how quick, and what I try to see is, how quick can I see from Tiger Cat to Tiger Cat, and just watch the stripe on his helmet. Boom, right down the line. So this is a guy, and this is during the evaluation period, knowing your personnel. This tells me that, hey, right now, hey, he has a quick head, he has good hips, he's ready to go. All right, tells me that he has good speed, just a little bit lazy right now. Okay, those are the things I want to look at in the drill. Same thing here. Okay, this is the too cool for school. All right, too cool for school. It's not going to work. All right, same thing here. Watch 23. When he turns, look where you see, I can see the side of his helmet. So I spend more time looking at this, and then we move into the coverage and all that stuff, because right now, these are the things that's going to help us to become more efficient. Okay, so it's natural for him to turn his head, to turn his body. Okay, this is not natural. He turned his body, and his head is still not in the right place. All right, here we go. Player of the year last year, able to flip his head, get down the line. All right, here we go. Now we shorten it up. 1 turn, 2 turns, 2nd turn. Here we go. Now, watch how quick his stripe lines up with the yellow stripe. Boom. No, you see that? No wasted motion. All right, so if you can get these things, no matter what your position is if we do these every day, there should be no wasted motion in what we do. All right, he can get his head around a little quicker there. He should be able to get an interception, shouldn't get beat deep. All right, same thing. Here we go. With 29, I can see his helmet. He needs to get it around. Need to get it around. Look, real slow. Looks like a little swivel bobblehead, right? You want to get your head around. Now, watch 30 here. You see what I'm saying? Watch the difference in 30 and I think 20. Can you see the difference in the hips and the head there? Now, some guys are going to do it natural, some will not. Okay, same thing with 23. He had the problem earlier where his head is always turned where? Here. You see what I'm saying? So that means he's probably going to be beat in coverage. I'm going to say a high percentage because his eyes are in the wrong place. So we know we play with our hands, we play with our feet, and we play with our eyes in football. So if you're not training those, then why would you play zone? Why are you playing man? Why are you doing the man zone read if we're not training their eyes where to go? Now, here we go. One of the other things we want to be is efficient with our turns at the top. 2-7 here takes like 100 steps at the top, right? Okay, so what that tells me is he's not used to using his feet in a fast manner. So you want to twist, turn, and you want him to plant stick, because in football, how many times have you seen a DB or a receiver twist and turn him 2 or 3 ways? This is what you want to be able to do to make sure that his feet are efficient and coming out of the breaks. Let's see if he gets his head around when he comes out. Now, look how long it takes him to get his head around at the top. That ball is probably hitting him in his face right now. All right? Let's see if we can see the difference. Head's a little bit quicker than the rest. It needs to get it around, step, get it around, come back for the ball. Still like a swivel, need it quick. Boom, there you go. Here we go. Don't like the hop, jab, step, get into it. But watch his head. Watch his hips. Quick hips, bam, and come back. No wasted transition from the stick coming back to the interception point. Receiver sticks, we come back on the interception point. So now, just to talk a little bit, because I know you guys are getting bored with drills. Okay, he plants from this spot to this spot. If I had a cone 2-3 yards, I need to see him explode through the cone, because that's him exploding through to the interception point. You see what I'm saying? He needs to explode through to the interception point. If he half-ass comes out of the drill right now, then we're getting nothing out of the drill. So you want to tell those guys to burst coming back to the ball. 23 right now. Probably not going to get an interception. That's probably going to be a completion every single time. Last one. Now, this is the reason I want to show this one. That's what I'm saying. If you don't put guys through drills that they do naturally, okay, twist and turn. Now he needs to plant, stick, and watch. His toe is pointed here. So if his toe is pointed here, this is the same thing as a D lineman. Wherever your toe is pointed, that's where you're going to go. All right. So look at it. He rounds it all the way off. So right now you got a young rookie that you need to work on with the drills. All right. Here we go. Going to the other side. Here we go. It's a better deal. Get his head around, find the ball. And this is day 1 of OTA camp. There you go. Now, same thing. Look at that foot. The toe is there. If he wants to come back to this angle, that toe needs to at least land here. Now, and let me just show you something. You see how unnatural this is at the top for him? That's why we do it every day, to put their body and put their feet through different things to where it's natural to when that comes up in a game situation. He was better the other way than he was this way, but at least once he sticks, head around, come out, head around, should have, there you go. And you talk about defensive backs, why they drop the ball 9 times out of 10, because their eyes are not focused to come around quick enough to see the ball coming out. All right, here we go. This is the difference in press man technique. All right, so people want to talk about press man as a bump and run type deal. Okay, we don't play bump and run. I don't want to be 1 yard off the ball bumping you, because if you bump at 1 yard off the line and you miss that guy, then he's gone. What we want to be able to do is slough off a little bit. 2 yards is fine with me, to make sure that it's more so what you'll hear me call it is reroute and jam. And the reason I call this reroute and jam, because right now, if the ball was here inside of the 50, where these guys were, and it was cut technique, cover 2, is this not cut technique here? Correct in saying that? Okay, well, now let's change it. The ball's to the inside here, and now we're going inside man. Okay, we want to be shade inside man. And the thing you want to be able to do on waggles, to be able to help against the waggle. Give me some room there. All right, here we go. What you want to be able to do is, I'm inside leverage, so my inside foot is up, and I want to have my outside foot back just a little bit, so toe to instep, just because I don't want my hips locked. Okay, don't want my hips locked as I'm releasing here. So I want to be able to reroute with my feet, and we'll take a 6-inch jam with our hands. So basically all we're doing is playing basketball here. That's the whole way we did at this camp. Basketball, basketball. And the thing you want to do is I don't want to see you lunge, or I don't want to see your hand extended. Okay, I want a good 6-inch punch, because right now with him running at this angle, okay, we've already taken him 1 or 2 yards off his track. So the quarterback right now, he should be able to look, he should look another way, because right now this is covered. Okay, if the quarterback sees color on color, he knows this is cover. I have to look somewhere else. So if we slough off color on color, we're giving the D-line, because we have a good D-line, a chance to get to the quarterback. Okay, so that's another way to send pressure, just because we're making that quarterback's read that much longer, because we're not in zone where there's 17,000 holes. Okay, so what you want to be able to do here is reroute him, a good 6-inch punch, and get him off his track. All right, here we go. Don't want to hop. You want to be able to push off your left foot, and we'll kick with our right. So here we go. Push. There you go. Now, there you go. Good. Cut them off. Cut them off. This way, 9 times out of 10, we'll never get beat on the what? Kahari talked about going deep. You can't go deep on this because we're in front of you. We're always in front of you. We want you to get back to those intermediate routes. If we can push you from the top back down, then that's when cover 2 comes in, and we can sit on top of all your routes. But if you're right now, if you try to bump and run the zone and you're letting these guys run through the zone, then they're going to take shots on you all day long. All right, so footwork here. Takes one or two shuffle steps, but he opens the gate. All right, so this guy has a free release. What you want to be able to do is make this receiver run through your body, run through a half of your body, and reroute him with a good 6-inch jam. All right, giving too much ground there. Don't want to give too much ground, because then you're going to give up the intermediate routes. Same thing here. Don't want to back up. If you have and now let me tell you this, if you have a DB, if you put him in a press situation and he likes to back up a lot, inch back, then guess what? Just go ahead and sit him back to 3 or 4 yards, because that's what he's most comfortable with. So know your personnel. Don't have a guy at 1 yard pressing if he's the guy that likes to back up. All right, here we go. Probably a little bit too much, because right now he's kind of locked his inside hip. So and the other thing is you don't want to show your leverage right off. All right, now the next thing you want to do, and whether you play press man or off man, either deal. Once we get through the first phase of jamming, once we get a 6-inch jam, the next thing you want to do, talking about eyes, once we jam a receiver, the next place that our eyes want to go is right down to his hip. Okay, because if it goes down to his hip, then what that's going to teach us or tell us is it an intermediate route or is it a deep route? If it's an intermediate route, we're getting ready to sit on it and break for the ball. Okay, and we'll have some deals to know whether that's a double move or not. But what we want to do is play from the top down. Here we go. He sits down, you sit down. Just like you guys are sitting in a chair. If he sits in the chair, we sit in the chair on top of him. We're touching. Now, the other deal is this, okay? And I'm trying to give you guys some points as a defensive back. You cannot look back to the quarterback unless you're in a position to touch the receiver. So if you are not in position to touch the receiver, you should not be looking back at the quarterback, because the rule of thumb is if you see the quarterback throw the ball, you're going to see the receiver catch the ball. I mean, it happens every time. Try it. And that's something that you should show you guys. Ask them every single play, did you see the quarterback throw the ball? They say, yeah, I saw it coming. And what did you see after? Him catching the ball. So that's why it doesn't work that way. Here we go, same thing. As soon as we get to the jam phase, right at the hip phase, we should be able to make decent plays there. Here we go. This is a good rep here. There you go. There you go. Right here. If you can see right now, he's on top of him. There's no way that he's going to beat him vertical. And if he takes a super wide release, and all the offensive gurus in this room, you could tell me, I would hope by now that your quarterback's looking that off, because he's taking 2, 3, 4, 5 steps outside of where he needs to be. So the timing of the offense is off. Here we go. This is a good one here. Read the hips. Boom. There you go. Get to the low hip. Get ready for the interception point. I can just imagine that I'm going to get double moves during camp. All right. Here we go. I'll run through press man first. I have a clip here. Here we go. Let's start right here. This is Ryan Hines, was his second-year Canadian on Arland Bruce. Let's watch the footwork here. I'll take a seat. Watch his footwork. First of all, you see he has a what? He already has a drop step, right? He's a drop step saying, you know what, I'm going to take away your inside leverage. I'm going to allow you to run outside, but what I'm going to do is reroute you to the outside. Here we go. And he's able to stay back in front of him. See that? Good job. Now, this once again, the quarterback should look it off because what? He sees color on color, color on color. He sees color there, color there. This one and this, these are the only two routes right now that I would say I would possibly throw. You see what I'm saying there? So now, the thing about this is you have a speed guy. Right now, if this is a speed guy, we're telling the free safety, hey, free safety doesn't have to help. When you have guys that's beat, that's when the free safety, you have to pull them away. So he can stay deep middle of the field, able to read the quarterback, weave on the look, and break on the throw. So we're on top here. He better turn that into an intermediate route because right now he knows he's not getting the ball deep. All right. Now let's watch the top. Let's watch the very top. Okay, takes that hard speed release away from him. He can't get his feet in front of him. But the thing I like here is what? Watch his hips. When the receiver sits down, he sits down. Now we're in a position to challenge for the ball. Now just need to get our head around. We get our hand on the ball, which is the ball disruption. We just need to make the play. But the one thing about this play is who doesn't catch the ball? The receiver doesn't. You see what I'm saying? So this is good man-to-man coverage. All right, where we at? Here we go. Same thing. Let's go right here in the boundary. All right, so let's check this out. Boundary halfback. Okay, he takes that hard outside release. We need to get in front of him. We don't get in front of him, so now we get into a trail position. So if I'm in the free safety now, you're going to end up what? Leaning over the top, right? So that's what we want to be able to do. So he's on top, he's on top, he's on top, he's in a trail position. So right now the free safety sees that. That's the guy that he has to come over the top and help. All right, now the other thing about that, if the quarterback sees this and that's a throw, that's fine because hopefully everybody else has him covered. The free safety needs to be able to come over the top. I'm going to get the zone for you guys that love zone so doggone much. I'm going to get to it. It's a killer, but I don't know why you love it so much. Maybe because they ran it when you were growing up in the 70s or something. Because it's gone. It's outdated. All right, here we go. So it's through. All right, here we go. You have to have a couple of it. Now, here we go. Check it out. All right, I don't want to use a lot of the old place where I came from, but these guys have the technique a little better. Here we go. So let's watch the man-to-man technique. All right. So here we go. We have press man technique and we have off man technique. Okay. So we have the press man technique. We're able to stay on top of them. We're on top. All right. We're on top here. Same thing. Shouldn't want to throw it there. Here we go from an off position. From an off position, what you want to be able to do, either you're in a catch position or a true off position. If you look at the halfback in the Sam right here in the boundary, the thing we want to do is take short shuffle steps. All we're going to do is take short shuffle steps. Now, we talked about earlier the first phase was press and the second phase after press was reading their hips, correct? So now what you want to do is once you take the guy off the ball, your DB off the ball, now phase one is gone. Now you need to get into phase two, which is simply short shuffles and reading the hips. So if we start right here on Dressler, we're reading the hips. Brandon Smith, look, he takes one shuffle step because he reads that hip and he sees the top side of his hip. He knows right now I can drive it. If it's a double move, he has to drive through him. Okay, so he's reading that hip. Not only is he reading the hip, he's reading the speed saying, is this 0 or is this 60 miles or 60 kilometers an hour? Okay, is he slow or fast? He sees it slow, let's get ready to drive it. All right, here we go. Inside here, short shuffles, inside leverage. Now, gets to the point to where it's 3 yards away, he can get into a pedal because now he's coming at 60. He's coming to break my cushion. So now I can flip my hips, pedal, flip my hips and open. So now I can open. His hips are open to run a go route. We're still on top. So we're challenging saying you can't throw this ball deeper than us because we're on top and we're still reading the hips. Right now, this tells me that this is a corner because his hip pointer is pointed toward the sideline. So I want to make sure that it's pointed toward the sideline and I want to close to his top hip. Once I see that this hip pointer is really toward the sideline and I can see the bottom hip, I need to close to the low hip and play the ball. And we did this all without the free safety that Kahari is trying to read. All right, he's just he's down at 12 yards just sitting, right? So good man technique to where we can cheat a little bit with the free safety so that the offense won't get that read. All right, we'll move to the zone cut up. Then after that, I'll go to a game for you. All right, here we go for all the zone fanatics. All right. Here we go. So right now, spend some time on this. So right now we have double hold. Okay, if we have double hold right now, that's the halfback low, corner and a third, free safety in the middle, boundary half low, corner and a third here. Okay, so the first thing you want to see, and I think this is a void zone here. The thing you want to see right now, the thing that hurts zone is this. Okay, you have this halfback low, and you're telling him to push from 2 all the way to 1. You're saying you have the fly and die, you're the curl flat defender. Well, the thing that they do here is if you separate 1 and 2 with a great distance, then you put this corner in a bind and you put the halfback in a bind, because if he has to push from 2 all the way to 1, if you set 1 down and he pushes, you could just sit 2 down in the curl. If he stays on 2 in the curl, you have a corner high. Now you can just do what? Throw the fly and die coverage, right? All right, so that's one of the holes that you get when you're in 3D. Same thing down here to the boundary. You have the halfback, which is cool. Now he's able to put hands on him here and ride it. He's still a 2-to-1 defender. Okay, he's the flat defender. So now, there you go. As he's riding him through depth, he's a 2-to-1 defender. We have a radical release coming from the front side all the way to the boundary. So if you're telling this guy 2-to-1 and he's carrying him up the field, who has this radical release that's wide open in the boundary? All right, so once again, that's double hold and that's zone. The other thing that you want to look at is in a double hold situation, okay, he doesn't get a good jam. He needs to push him outside. Now, look at the split that the field corner has. If you're saying he's a 2-to-1 corner, that's a hell of a way for him to cover 1 there and 2 there. You're telling him that he's a 2-to-1 low defender, that's a hell of a way for him to push from 2 there to 1 there. You're telling the free safety he has from seam to seam. Okay, if he leans right now to this front side seam, then, okay, who has this backside seam sitting right there in the numbers? All right, because now if you want to send the corner over the top to him, then you still have a deep outside route there. So that's one of the deficiencies when you're running cover 3. Okay, whereas if we were man-to-man here and we had everyone pressed up or an off here, there would be less holes and you'd give your D-line more time to get there. Any questions so far?
You have the athletes to play man-to-man all the time. So what percentage do you do man-to-zone, or are you just strictly man?
You know, I'll tell you where I came from. The last year it was all a version of man. Okay, if you don't have those athletes and you want to play zone, then I'd say you have to put that mix in there, you know, because like I said, you talk about game planning and scouting. I think you can teach a guy to play man-to-man. If you don't have a guy with quick feet, then move him off the ball just a little bit. And then that's when you have to work his technique with his eyes. And I say you need a mix to where at least you're 60-40 or 50-50 somewhere in there. Okay, just so you can be able to give that ball back to the offense, because if you just let them hit zone through zone through zone, that's going to be a long game for the offense. So yeah, so if you have those, and like I said, we had the athletes because that's what we recruit. Okay, and if you're just a true zone team, I think you have to be. With Greg Marshall in 2007, we were a zone team. Okay, but we had the ability to play man-to-man in there because I spent that time teaching man-to-man. So you have to be able to play it, and that's how we ended up with like that number 2 pass secondary. If you just go straight zone, it's going to be a long game. Any other questions?
Your DB technique for off the ball versus tight.
Yeah.
Can you go through it again? Real quick?
The off man versus press man?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do.
Just a couple keys again.
That's cool. All right. The thing I want to do in an off man situation, okay, if I'm inside leverage here on him, the thing I want to do as he's running his route, first thing, whatever depth you decide for him to be at, you need to read his hip. And what I mean by reading his hip pointer is here and here. Okay, if you're square in front of me and I'm running and you see me sit down here, then I know to slow it down. Okay, I can slow it down. Now, what happens is if you're still in front of me and you see me running here, okay, this hip pointer is here, right towards you. So this tells me that this is where you at is still a vertical route for me. So I shouldn't break downhill right now thinking it's an out because the hips are there. I should be thinking more of a what? A double move coming through me just because this hip pointer tells me this. Now, once it gets to the point to where I can see the true side of his butt, then I know that's an out and I'm screaming. I'm screaming because if a guy wants to run an out and up, I don't think he'll go 1, 2, 3, then go up. Okay, I would hope that the quarterback's looked away by now. Usually if I see an out and up, it's probably 1, 2, and then up, but you never see this hip or him facing truly that way. Okay, so those are those little pointers when you're teaching him and what he's looking at, and you just have to teach him on the hip pointers. Same thing if it's a curl, if he's running and you see him plant here, come back here, once you see that this hip, because you have to go where your hips and your toes are telling you to go. So we just focus on that. The other thing you could do is a thing called cushion race. And what I mean by cushion race is, and everybody knows that once that 3-yard cushion is broke, then you better go ahead and open. So all we'll do is shuffle, because you're knowing, okay, if I'm 7 yards off, you know that the intermediate routes are 10 to 12. I'm going to shuffle, see what it gives me. Now, at your level, at my level, no matter what, most guys toward that, let's say if it's a 12-yard route with those last 3 to 4 yards, they want to give you a what? A burst. Okay, well, you give me the burst, that's to open my hips, right? So now what you have to do is 3-yard cushion, boom, I want to open my hips. But now I need to do a drill to what? I'm plant sticking and doing what? When he comes, I need to drive back to the hip. All right, so you want to put your DB in that same drill through all those phases that he went through. Okay, now if it's a deep route, all right, and I'll go ahead and teach you the other techniques. Once it's a deep route, I've gone through that 10, 12-yard phase, right? And I see now that it's not an intermediate route. Now it's a deep route. The thing I want to be able to do is get inside the receiver. Once I'm inside the receiver now, because I know it's a deep route, okay, you'll see guys doing this and fighting, right? If you're doing that, then you can't run. Okay, he's running and you're trying to fight to stop him from running. All you're doing is slowing yourself down. The thing I want to be able to do is put my shoulders right in his armpit, and I want to lean him out and box him out just like I'm playing basketball. So when that ball comes down, if this is where he was supposed to land, if this is his point, if this is the receiver's track here, and I'm here, I'm going to lean him out. So now I become the what? The receiver. Okay, so we do those drills. I mean, tires, excuse me, until we can't do it anymore. How about that? All right, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, and then that's what we're going to do. We're just going to lean him out. So that's an off man deal. When we talk about press man, for me, press man and catch man is so intertwined, because I never want to see a guy 1 yard from the ball thinking he's going to beat somebody up all day. It's too much space. Now, that's why I think guys you say, do you have the athletes? Well, yeah, that's a hell of a job to do it. But when you back a guy up, it's a little bit different now, because as a receiver comes off the line of scrimmage, there's a release point that he's going to. You see what I'm saying? So if it's a release point, if a receiver's coming off within 2, 3, 5 yards, he's telling you whether that's an inside route or an outside route. So if I'm back to 5 yards waiting on him, playing that same catch technique, now if he wants to take that hard outside release, boom, boom, bam, I'm always on top of him. You see what I'm saying? Now it's just a matter of me turning and running with him. Okay, so that's the difference. Same thing if you played zone and you had your underneath guys at 5 to 7 yards. It's no different than you playing hole. You're jamming this guy and you're just sitting there. He's just sitting in space watching the ball go inside or outside of him. Why not go ahead and take it a step further, use that same technique to where if the ball is here, I'm inside leverage on 2, and I'm holding, I'm pushing from 2 to 1. How about you use that same technique and go ahead and tell him now you're at 5 yards off. You have him man to man, and now you want to use the same technique, jamming him with the right hand, and I'm open here because my hips are open. Now I'm on top of him, and now just run with him. That would be an awesome change up. Now, just to finish up on this, on the press man technique, what I want to be able to do is be inside leverage. Once I'm inside leverage, so I say this chair is my receiver. I'm inside leverage on the chair. So I have a shade inside of the foot there. I want to have a drop step because the quarterback's in there, right? So I want to have a drop step, all right? I'm going to have to move because that one's killing me. The bump's killing me. All right, here we go. So this is my chair. I'm shaded inside of the chair with a drop step. I want to be able to come inside, come outside, move my leverage. First thing you want to do is you never want to show your leverage. All right, because the receiver's on his waggle. As the receiver's, there you go. Yeah, that's fine. You can put it, there you go. There you go. So as a receiver's on his waggle, if you're sitting here, then he knows you're what? Inside leverage. I want to move around on him while he's in his waggle, okay? Because the time he hits that line of scrimmage, if I'm here and he hits that line of scrimmage and I come here, by the time he's about 2-3 yards from that line of scrimmage, his mind is made up on what's his release point off of what they taught, inside leverage or outside leverage. So now I get inside leverage on him. I have the drop step saying, I know there's so much field this way. So I'm not going to allow my hips to be locked, and I'm going to push off my right foot because the ball's in there, and I'm going to kick with my left just to gain ground inside of him, not hop, push and kick, boom. Once he gets to the point, the intersection point, I want to get a good 6-inch punch on him, not a lunge, a good 6-inch punch, because if I 6-inch punch him, bam, I'm able to recoil and put my hands back in the position to where I can do what? Hit him again or do what? Turn and run. You see what I'm saying? So I can do those two things. All right. The other thing you want to do in that is if he comes outside, now he comes inside. Now you want to drop step with the right foot and be able to get a 6-inch with the left hand. So all it is to me is basketball. Some of you guys are probably getting a stipend to coach basketball and football. If you're doing both, then go ahead and take those same basketball players and say, hey, come on out and play DB for me. And now you cross coaching. So when the basketball season comes in, you say, hey, it's just like we do every day. So it's the same drill. You see what I'm saying? It's the same drill. Don't make it harder than what it is. Keep it simple and just play basketball. If you told the guys to play basketball, they're going to get aggressive in their face. They're hip checking. They're doing all those good things. But when you tell them man to man, they get their feet in sand and then they're trying to jam because you tell them jam. So the biggest key, and the guys who heard me speak at the Burlington Clinic, is I never teach jam. I teach reroute, then jam. If you say jam first, that means the first thing that's happening is their hands. All right, you want to teach the feet first. So you want to reroute with their feet and then jam with the hands. All right? Yes, sir.
Coach, that being an extension of my question here, if you're going against double picks, would you teach banjo or lock based on the techniques that you like?
You know what? I'll tell you. There's two things, okay? Starting out, I teach lock. You got to fight through everything. You got to fight through the picks, okay? Because what starts happening is once you start getting loose, now they can hit you, and there's always someone turned away. So you always start with the lock, okay, and just make those guys fight through. We're going to fight through, and the way that we do that is we might start at the same level, and if you're back there and he's up here, then we know right now it's like, hey, lock, lock, lock. He knows to come down, and now I'm just going to play off of you, all right? Because no two guys hit the line of scrimmage at the same time. All right, one guy's going to be back. So once we see that, and once you game plan that, and you put those guys through those same drills like lock, 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 let's go through it. Now, the key is when you start getting to the banjo, for me, you cannot banjo at 5 yards. It's hard as hell because somebody's going to get turned loose. Come on off to 7-8 and say, all right, we're going to give you all that underneath. Let's banjo and just drive the routes. Okay, banjo and drive the routes. And usually when I want to get into the banjo things, it's usually zero coverage. Zero coverage to where now we'll put everybody off. The ball better come out right now. And we're saying, okay, we don't care if you get 5 yards. If it's a true press deal, then we want to try to fight through that if we can. That's just the best way for me.
And you have cover two. You got help over top, and you got press. You would allow that guy to, he's got to help over top, so you're going to trail him.
Now I'll tell you, what I've had trouble with for the last couple of years is playing. We play 2-man, but we don't let him trail, and I'll tell you why. Because the time I let him trail, this is the first thing that all guys do. Open the gate, get into a trail, then they're beat anyway, and now the safety's like, oh man, because now to the safety, everybody looks like they're beat. So what we want to be able to do is fight on the top. If he takes that vertical route, then that's fine. Then we can possibly get into that side-to-side of the trail, but I tried it when I first got here and everybody was open. I said, all right, so let's just beat everybody up and then make the quarterback make the hardest throw and let them be more aggressive and tell them, hey, you can beat them up, you're on top. Now the only difference is jump the route. Go ahead and jump for the pick because you got help over the top rather than allowing a guy to say, okay, I'm going to run behind you and I got to teach that and it's boom, boom, boom. So it's however you can do it. But what happens is now I'm going from teaching the guy to stay on top to saying, hey, now allow that guy. So you're teaching two conflicting techniques, right? Anything else, fellas? Well, that is it today. So I appreciate you guys allowing us to come out and speak. And you know where we live. So if you ever see us during training camp or whatever, hey, make sure you introduce yourselves to us. Thanks, guys. Yep. Yes, sir.
I'm Glenn.